The topic about data security has been one that I've been preaching for a while, but has been a recent hot topic in this industry. Machines are becoming more and more connected. But what happens to the data in the machines? And why should you care? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here and you like learning about this kind of thing, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed. We're going to be doing some dives here into privacy policies, but I think it's good that we talk about data security as a whole to begin with, so that we have a better understanding of why this stuff matters before we get much deeper in diving into other companies' privacy policies as well. That, and I'm waiting for a couple of them still. Big thing here is understanding what belongs to you should belong to you. We look at other countries outside of the United States, and even California has pretty strict data policies. But when we look outside of the United States and California, we see that the entire European Union, sorry, Great Britain, has the GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulation, which covers how your data can be obtained and utilized. But here in the States, we don't have any of that. And that's odd because the bulk of 3D printers are used right here in the United States. Now, for those of you that don't live in the United States, this may not apply a ton to you, but the value is still here. What's yours should be yours. Even if somebody else says, I want it, you should have the option to tell them no. We're seeing now a lot of machines coming with Wi-Fi connectivity, Ethernet connectivity, and every major manufacturer out there on the consumer grade side has some machine with connectivity options, be it Bambu Lab, Prusa Research, Elegoo, Anycubic, heck, even new companies that are coming to the market have some sort of internet connectivity. Some of them are doing data collection and others give you the option. A lot of this comes down to where the company itself is located. Data security means that you do your best to not have microphones listening to you at all times. So if someone says, hey, Google, remind me in 5 minutes to subscribe to 3D Musketeers, or they say, hey, Alexa, remind me in 5 minutes to subscribe to 3D Musketeers, it's not gonna do things. Smart devices and IoT devices in general have one of the weakest levels of network security out there, which is, generally speaking, 0, and leave massive holes in your network. Now, for the average person, this isn't that big of a deal. War driving, where people go around and actually look for open networks, is not that big of a deal anymore. And in fact, they go after the publicly accessible Wi-Fi networks in major businesses and put fun little things on there versus going to individual homes. Our Patreon actually has a really funny story about me and a run-in with police many years ago regarding war driving. It was not me, I promise. But that means that the average user has gotten a little lackadaisical about their own data and network security. When we talk about this kind of thing in videos, which we went through Bambu Lab's entire privacy policy last week, we'll card to it so you guys can take a look. We get a lot of people saying thank you, but we also get a lot of people saying, I don't care, I don't run a business, I don't care if they can see what I'm printing. And I would say that that's not the right way to look at this. While you might think that it's okay, it's because capitalism has kind of taught you that your data has no value to you. But what we oftentimes forget is that it has value to the companies that are collecting it, because they are selling it, they are using it. And while they might use it for good, people that they sell it to might not. It's no surprise that these big DNA companies like the 23andMe's out there, that insurance companies are trying their absolute damnedest to get access to this data, because it will help them better deny you coverage for things because, oh, you are naturally more likely to have cancer, so we're just not going to help you. And for those of you that are wondering, companies can actually do that? Yeah, welcome to America. The entire healthcare system here is messed up. And I recognize it's not perfect in other countries either, but when insurance companies are trying to buy the rights to your DNA data to make sure they can make more money, things start to get a little 1984 to me. We need to take control over the data that we are providing to companies. And while even Prusa Research can and do collect data, they let you choose if you want to send it, how much you want to send, and they let you see it in plain text before you agree to send it. And on the brand new Mark IV from Prusa, you can actually remove the Wi-Fi chip. It's just a daughter board. It's 2 screws to undo the cover, and then you can pull the board out. Now the machine has no Wi-Fi. You can plug the Ethernet adapter, and there you go. You have an air-gapped 3D printer. It's amazing. But with new machines requiring you to be connected to the internet to do things as simple as updating, it means that you are forced into a level of data collection that you may not know. And yeah, I'm talking about Bambu Lab here. For those that don't know, Bambu Lab encrypts everything that they do. They use a Spintrol MCU that is commonly used inside of DJI drones. Huh, I wonder where all the people from Bambu Lab came from. Oh, that's right, they're from DJI. I will also remind you that DJI is banned from doing business with 4 states here in the United States and is banned from doing business with the US government because of their pretty problematic data policies that they have. Bambu Lab also encrypts all of the data that they send and outright refuse to share that data with you. Now, it could be fairly innocuous, something like the LiDAR data that, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely qualifies as intellectual property. But why does Bambu need that information? Why do they need to have my printer connected to the internet all the time? It's for data collection. When Bambus first came out, they had a massive issue with their internet security, and in fact left open ports on your network, which any script kiddie, that's someone who knows just a little bit. Like, they carry a Flipper Zero because they use it for reasons other than upsetting televisions in the local Walmart. They could get access to your network and have full access to any machines on the network. And while that was very quickly patched, I'm fairly certain Bambu knew about this when they put it out there, because it seems as though a lot of companies are acting more reactionary. Don't believe me? Well, Creality, once again, is in the hot seat for utilizing open source information in their Creality slicer, where they are using parts from Cura and Slick 3R, most likely from Prusa Slicer as well, and yet they have not gone through and abided by the GPL v3 guidelines that they committed to when they utilized those components. It appears these companies expect us to just not give a damn that they're signing us up for this stuff, they're utilizing open source and effectively stealing it, and then they're not giving anything back in return until they get yelled at. They get a slap on the wrist, they make some half-hearted apology, and we go back to ignoring that it is ever such a massive issue. And while you as an end user might say, Grant, I really don't care if Bambu sees all the whatever the heck I'm printing that I'm printing, I understand that. You might not think that's a big deal, but it is a big deal. What this is doing is it is slowly getting you used to the fact that what you make has no value to you and has value to the companies that are collecting it. Why would Bambu need to know how many benchies you're printing or what you're printing? Because remember, not everybody uses 3D printers for good. In fact, there have been multiple busts this year alone for people producing firearms illegally utilizing 3D printers. In fact, one of the more recent ones had a Bambu in it. Now, these warrants were likely obtained through some sort of regular means. But what if these companies were collecting the data from the cameras, from the G-code that you send to the printers, from the files that you download when you utilize the slicer, and now they're providing it to local law enforcement without your consent? Whether you're doing something illegal or not, having others know what you're doing doesn't seem all that right. How is that any different than putting a camera in your bedroom? And you don't even get to make money off of it. Somebody else is pulling your information and providing it to others without your overall consent. And to utilize these products, you must blanket consent to this data collection, or you can't use the products. You keep them offline. But in the case of a Bambu, you can't update it if it's not online. So what does data privacy really mean? It means keeping what's yours. Here in the United States, we have the Fourth Amendment, which protects citizens from unlawful search and seizures. It is put in place to keep a government from overreaching. But yet I find it way more prevalent being overreached by private entities, some of which don't even have a nexus in the United States, let alone a presence in United States-based stores. It will take some precedent to be set, and it's why we are actively trying to figure out what these log files say in Bambu. It is to keep companies honest. And if they're not honest, we get together with a bunch of other users, we get an attorney, and we remind people why you need to play by the rules, especially rules that you yourself set. I believe that data security is one of the most important things in this industry of 3D printing that gets absolutely overlooked. And while 3D printing businesses often deal with very sensitive information, be that non-disclosures, ITAR, or CMMC, those are government style things. ITAR standing for the International Traffic and Arms Regulation, which effectively means you make things that might go into things that go bang for companies. And there are regulations surrounding that regarding what level of data security that my company must have and other companies out there that exist. We have to do this. If I was using the Bambu to print parts that were protected by a non-disclosure for one of our clients, and we had the machine connected to the internet where it was sending data, and we don't know what that data is, we are legally obligated to disclose to the client that a breach has occurred, but we don't know what the extent of the breach is. Because that is exactly what has occurred. We have a breach, but we don't know what exactly has been breached. This is very costly, involves lawyers, and anytime lawyers are involved, it gets expensive, and nobody wins. The only people that win in lawsuits are lawyers, because they get paid no matter what, minus the personal injury lawyers. And a fun side note, you know how they say that we don't get paid unless you win? That's the law in most states, just for reference. They're utilizing people's ignorance as marketing. And that's what a lot of these companies do too. They say, oh, download our app, download, whatever this might be, random clipper install with God knows what Trojan horse attached to it so that you can use the machine. But what happens is that you don't know what you're downloading. And unless you are a network security expert, of which I am not, you are taking a massive risk. Because not only are you consenting to this, but by proxy, you are forcing everybody else that has access to your network to also abide by those new data collection policies. If there's one thing that I really respect around these parts, it's consent. And if you are going to just say, hey, you can connect to my Wi-Fi, but oh yeah, by the way, there's this, and this company that are collecting your data, so anything that you send might be utilized by them for future marketing efforts, all of a sudden you might not connect to networks. See, the thing is, it's already happening and you just don't know about it. It's why people have said, do packet sniffing, set up Wireshark, put a pfSense box in the way and run something like a Pi-hole, and run systems that can protect you, even if they're relatively small systems. Firewalls are something that most consumer-grade networks don't possess, but are very simple to integrate should you need that kind of thing. But I recognize that the average user doesn't do it. So what can you as the average user do to ensure that you stay protected? Well, if you do have a Bambu Lab printer, minimally put it to LAN-only mode so that it can only communicate inside of your network. Since we have identified ours as a threat, I cannot connect mine to LAN-only mode. In fact, I must keep mine disconnected from the network. We have it in a sandbox network thinking that it can connect to the outside world when it actually can't, and we're sniffing packets off of it. But the average user doesn't know how to do this. So if you are worried about Bambu Lab getting your information, or any connected printer for that matter, getting your information, set up a separate VLAN. It is effectively a secondary network that you can set up on most Wi-Fi networks. Normally, it's considered a guest network, and you can limit your upload and download speed on it, and you just limit it to 0. And so it can only operate internally on a network. Now, the only downside having a separate VLAN is that if you want to use the same computer that you do for all your other stuff to send a file to the printer, you will have to connect to that separate network to do so. If you care about data security, it is a pretty easy thing to do. Now, we would have some sort of tutorial here, but every router is different. And oh yeah, if you're still using the router that your ISP provided, don't even talk to me about network security. And don't even talk to me about data collection. There is a reason that a lot of we're going to put quotes around power users, prefer to not use any ISP provided equipment. You don't have access to what it can do. And while I recognize ISP is plug and play and it works, you don't need any extra Geek Squad BS. That extra Geek Squad BS and maybe calling a family member or clickety-clacking on that old internet box in front of you might be something that the average user doesn't want to do, but it's worth it because it can protect you, your loved ones, and your hard-earned data. In fact, a lot of companies that deal with high-end stuff, we have cybersecurity insurance, so that in the event there is a breach, I make a phone call and it is handled by a professional company that costs tens of thousands of dollars, and my insurance covers it. Some companies have it, others tend to not have it. But if you do have it, you are often required to do an audit. Yeah, the A word that no one likes, to validate that everything is okay. There is not a snowball's chance in hell that a Bambu will ever pass a cybersecurity audit, period. And those of you that are in the EU, I recommend that you do reach out to Bambu and get a data list of where your data is going and why. And in fact, if any of you want to send that over to me, I'd greatly appreciate it. As someone living in the United States, I don't have that ability. I would love to look at where that data is coming from, and it might give me some personal data, so we can talk about it beforehand, and we will go ahead and scrub any personal data from it when we do end up using it in an upcoming video. So if you do want to see where your data goes when you utilize these machines, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed because it is coming very soon. And if you do want to support these efforts, because my God, it is a lot of work on my side and the side of our team, you can do so by supporting us over on Patreon, PayPal, or YouTube channel members. Links, of course, to all of those in that description down below. This kind of work isn't easy, and when companies deliberately obfuscate things to keep people out, and they tell you it's for your own good, I don't know about the rest of you, but it makes me feel a little bit uneasy. I would love to know, because I know we have some awesome hardcore data security professionals in those comments, and as awesome subscribers and supporters of this channel, put in those comments what you guys recommend that the average person can do, because I know I am not an expert. And we'll start pinning top comments that we really like, or we'll just kind of edit one large pinned comment with some tips and tricks. Because it doesn't take much for you as the end user to protect yourself against companies that are behaving badly. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Heck, you might even have everything that you need to do it right in your own home, just not set up correctly. But I will tell you, from someone who might have a slightly above average dose of skepticism when dealing with companies regarding data policies, something here doesn't smell right. That smell, you know, that you get used to of the trash that you forgot to take out a couple of days ago that's kind of stinking, you get used to it. It's the same way with this. It's the frog in the pot of water. If you raise the water very, very slowly to its boiling point, the frog has no idea what's going on because it's at an equilibrium with the water, but you're slowly cooking it alive. Don't be the frog. Be someone that is actively stopping that kind of thing from occurring. So what can you as the average user do to protect yourself? Well, first thing, take your printers offline. I know it's crazy convenient. I know it's so nice to just click a button and it goes up to the printer and just magically starts printing. I know that is so valuable and useful. But if you're doing any amount of design, then you need to be keeping control over your data, especially if you're someone that wants to sell stuff on Etsy or Patreon or something like that. You need to make sure that other companies don't have access to it. If you have apps for these things on your phone, get rid of them. While it is, again, nice to log in and see the camera on the printer, you can easily set up something way more secure and log into it with a much more secure system, whether it be a webcam or some sort of closed circuit television that you set up. There are right ways and wrong ways to go about it. And I recognize that this is not something that can be, you must do all of this immediately. No, take some time, do it right. You can do it. I believe in you, because doing too many changes at once will kind of throw that rhythm off. It is tough to look at this with a different perspective and say, I need to do a better job of taking care of my personal data. But I promise everybody, myself included, could do a better job at taking care of our personal data. So where does this leave us? It leaves us in a world of unknowns. Companies that do data collection in the 3D printing space are often looking more toward encryption rather than telling you what you sent. If I can see what data is being sent, I might be okay with it and not care. But I also want the ability to opt out of it. When companies are forcing you into this upfront data collection with no way to opt out, or it is so difficult to opt out of, you might think I'm John Oliver talking about timeshares.
A contract for a vacation shouldn't be harder to get out of than f***ing Scientology.
You don't want to see that. We want relationships with users and manufacturers, and I want to be that bridge to say we need to do better as a community. If companies want to collect data, I get it. We have a right to know what data is being collected and why. And telling me that it's proprietary information and it's for my own good are not enough answers. But then saying if I don't agree to it, I can't utilize your services is, in my personal opinion, bullshit. I will challenge each and every one of you to do one thing more in the next month to get better at protecting your personal data, whether it is taking your printers offline, whether it is setting up a more secure network, whether it is going through and updating your passwords. Jeez, when was the last time that you used a different password, for God's sakes? I would love to get a cybersecurity expert to interview on the podcast. So if you guys might be a cybersecurity expert or know one that would love to come and talk about data security in the 3D printing world and what we can do as users to better protect ourselves from the perspective of a professional, I would love to talk to you. You can email me directly at youtube@3dmusketeers.com or just comment below and let me know it's the kind of thing that you would like to do. Until then, when we say stay safe out there, we really do mean it. Beyond just your everyday lives, your digital lives as well. Don't forget to call your loved ones, and as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and a massive thank you goes out to all of our channel supporters whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Remember, if you want to join the elite group of Musketeers, you can do so for as little as $1 a month, and at the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out in our private Discord where we go into way more detail regarding network security and data privacy. If that's your kind of thing, I think you're going to like it there. We have a lot of fun digging into things that we can't talk about right now on this channel. Right below me will be my look at Bambu's privacy policy, and right next to that will be my unboxing of the Sovol SV06 Plus, a printer that is soon going to be internet connected, but not a requirement. Stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys down in those comments and the next one. Take care.